You have fire in your gut? Okay, we're here for a reason to win games. So if you didn't have that fire in your gut, you better light the fire pretty fast.
And welcome back to the latest and greatest episode of the 7 Points Podcast. My name is Jaden May, joined as always by my co-host Quentin Crisco. As we break down, what is this, week 16 of the NFL?
Week 16, brother.
Bringing you all the spreads, all the totals, all the games, all the matchups, talking a little college football playoff at the end. So it's exciting. It's exciting and it's not exciting, really. I mean, we got some divisional races that we gotta clean up, but I think the playoff picture's kind of already set itself.
Yeah, I mean, set itself, but let's talk through that for a sec. Let's see. Let me pull it up. So we got the Eagles have pretty much clinched the East, or they have clinched the East.
Yeah,
the Commanders have clinched a spot. Lions and Vikings have both, or are tied for division lead, but the Packers have also clinched a spot. So I guess maybe the Eagles haven't clinched.
The Eagles have clinched
the division. Okay.
Let's see. They've clinched a playoff berth. Win this weekend, and they clinched the division.
Yeah.
But so you have Washington in the 7th seed right now at 9 wins. Seattle's sitting at 8 wins. Atlanta's sitting at 7 wins. So, but Seattle and Atlanta are both in divisional races. So, but I mean, after Atlanta, I think it's going to be really hard for Arizona to get in. I think they're fucking a lot of tiebreakers. So they're kind of out of it. So really, I mean, we're looking at like a Seattle Rams final 3 weeks, and then maybe Atlanta can make a move to jump Tampa, but I don't think Tampa or Atlanta is getting a wild card spot at this point. I think Washington has to win one game, and there'll be 2 games up.
This has a chance to get spicy between the Commanders, Seahawks, and then Cardinals and Rams, I think. I think there is.
Well, Cardinals and Rams play each other, so one of them's got to lose.
Yeah.
And so if one of them loses and Washington wins 1 game, that puts them 2 games back. So that basically eliminates both of them. The Cardinals can win out, and I think if the Cardinals win out, they might have a shot at a wild card. Let's see, because Cardinals have Rams as well, so that might factor into the division as well. But I guess Cardinals could have went out, and Seattle could have went out, and Washington could lose out, and we could see 2 West teams. But I think that's the only way.
Yeah.
But then that would be Rams losing 2 of 3, and I don't see that either. So,
yeah, there's some interesting stuff that can happen there.
I think the Rams are winning that division. I mean, we look at their schedule here, and they just beat the 49ers on a short week. They got Jets, Cardinals, Seahawks. I think they win 2 of those 3, and I think that seals it for them.
Yeah. But you want to get into this slate for week 16? I just realized we have the talking now thing up here. And talking about what it says we're talking about now. So
we got Denver going on the road to the Chargers, playing in Los Angeles. Chargers are 3-point favorites at home, 42.5 point total here. Model likes Denver on the road. These 2 teams are so strange to me. I don't know what to think about these 2 teams. I mean, Bo Nix isn't good, but they win games, and then Bo Nix plays well sometimes as well. And then the Chargers are they Chargering, or did they just play the Chiefs?
I think they're.
Oh no, they played the Buccaneers and got destroyed.
Yeah, I think they're struggling right now. I mean, I think that their lack of talent
J.K. Dobbins
starting to show up here. And I just dropped in the chat that a poll about this game because I'm curious about where that goes, like Broncos or Chargers. I want to see who won the first matchup, right? Because they've probably played each other once.
Yes, let me see here. I'll pull it up.
But I think the Chargers are some of their talent deficiency that the Harbaughness was making up for has kind of started to dissipate here, and we're starting to see like, okay, this roster is, especially defensively, a little short on talent right now.
Chargers won 23-16 in Denver.
23-16 in Denver. 350 yards of offense. Denver
on October 13th.
How did Mr. Bo Nix do in this game? Let's see.
October 13th, about 2 months ago.
Mr. Bo Nix, Bo Picks, had 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, 2 sacks, 6 rushes for 61 yards. You know, I'm taking Denver +3 here just because I think that is like, you're giving me +3 on that against a Chargers team who's been reeling. I do like Harbaugh to bump the trend, but at Denver +3 with that defense, the way they've been playing, I'm going to take it. The model says to take it, and that's really why I'm taking, because the model went 5-1 last week, and I'm here to keep riding that train.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't hate a Denver pick right here. They looked so bad in that Indianapolis game, and then turned it on there at the end. They had a couple lucky breaks go their way, but better be lucky than good sometimes. And yeah, I don't hate that Denver pick right there.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Model also has a slight lean towards the under, so keep that in mind if you are looking to bet totals on it.
All right, next up we have Houston, Kansas City. Kansas City's at home. 2.5, 3-point favorites, depending on where you look right now. 41.5-point total. Patrick Mahomes broke both of his ankles. They had to get amputated. So this is definitely a Chiefs game where they go out and win by like 30, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is what Pat Mahomes does. I mean, the dude won a Super Bowl on a high ankle sprain a few years back, so I'm not here to doubt him. On the year, Houston has covered half of their road games. Kansas City has only covered 29% of their home games. Over-under, both teams have gone 43% on the over when they're on the road or at home, respectively here. I'm avoiding this one. The model has a lean towards Houston plus the 2.5. I think that's a decent play with how Kansas City Kansas City hasn't been destroying many people. And with Pat Mahomes just a little less Superman, I don't know, maybe a high ankle sprain makes him more Superman, but like,
yeah, he thrives in chaos.
For all we know, this could just be a smoke screen for Carson Wentz too. Like, yeah. If I'm Andy Reid, I'm trying to get Pat to sit. I'm like, listen,
at least one game.
Yeah, like we're good here, Pat. Like we can cover this.
Yeah, 3 games in 10 days on a high ankle sprain doesn't seem ideal going into the playoffs.
Yeah, but I'm staying away. The model says do not bet the total. It does not like the total on this at all. It thinks it's a 50-50 proposition, which is not what we're about betting in this world. So advice is stay away from the total.
Yep. All right, now we got Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Baltimore 6.5-point favorites at home, 44.5-point total here. Pittsburgh won outright in Pittsburgh earlier this season as home dogs. Mike Tomlin, not as good of a road dog as he is a home dog, but
is
George Pickens?
Home dog?
No.
Is Mike Tomlin your home dog?
He could be. Paint that part in red.
Dog.
Is Pickens done for the season?
I don't think so.
Is he ever coming back?
I was listening to something earlier where they were talking about like if he plays this game, they like it, and it's just a question of whether he plays it. Yeah, so I would think if it's in question, he's not done for the year.
Yeah. Well, no, he's not technically done for the year, but like, is he done for the year? Because he's just not playing. This game's hard to judge. I think that offense is completely different without George Pickens out there. Baltimore's been playing very well. Lamar's coming off a 5-touchdown performance for the 2-time. Going going for a 3-time right now. Josh Allen might have some stuff to say about that, but I think it's a 2-man race right now between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson for that MVP. Baltimore wins this game, and they are right back in the thick of that division. I think Baltimore has to win out, and Pittsburgh has to lose this game plus another one for them to take the division, I'm pretty sure. Because I think Pittsburgh still has the tiebreaker if Baltimore wins this one.
So
I'm not positive.
Pickens was back at practice today.
Okay.
And the Ravens.
What about TJ Watt?
Did he leave the Eagles game?
I thought he got hurt.
He did not participate in practice today, but Mike Tomlin is optimistic about his availability against the Ravens.
TJ Watt is going to play if he can play.
TJ.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like Baltimore has to get a home game in these playoffs. So it just feels criminal if they don't. They've had such a good season. It doesn't feel right for Pittsburgh to win this division. I want to take Baltimore here, but that's a lot of points. Division rival to a team you already lost to. And, I mean, 6.5 points, AFC North, with that defense playing that good, screams Pittsburgh. But then I immediately, put my guard up and be like, it's a rat line.
But how is plus 6.5 a rat? That is
it's a rat.
Big red letters, don't bet it.
No, it's a rat saying it's an easy Pittsburgh bet.
No, I think it's an easy 6.5 is they're trying to get you to bet Baltimore.
Really?
They're giving you.
I say
they're giving you
6.5, and it's a team that's already beat them this year, and you're like, oh, Pittsburgh catching a 6.5 point spread.
Plus 6.5 makes me hesitate because I'm like, man, if they don't they're going to lose this game by 7. That's when I see that and I bet it. I'm like, they are going to lose by 7, and I'm going to hate myself for betting this. But with that being said, Model likes Pittsburgh plus 6.5. I'm taking Pittsburgh plus 6.5. And I do think, like you said, AFC North matchup, these games tend to be close. 6.5 is a lot of points, to your point.
Yeah. I lean Pittsburgh here too. So I'll probably end up betting Pittsburgh, but seems a little ratty.
And Steelers are 63% cover rate on the road this year. Baltimore's only covered 40% of their games at home. Both these teams are over 60% on the over for their respective home road situation here. So I do like the over 44.5 here as well.
All right, next up we have Cleveland, Cincinnati, 2 teams that have been eliminated from playoff contention. We have Cincinnati 7.5 point favorites at home, 46.5 point total here. Joe Burrow, once again, give him his props, MVP numbers this year. And Cleveland is benching Jameis Winston, ?
DTR time, baby.
That makes no sense to me unless there's some injury clause in Jameis's contract. Well, I guess not, because Jameis is probably gone after this year. And might as well see what you have in DTR, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a 1-year, $4 million deal.
Yeah, so I guess
a bunch of void years on it, but those, doesn't matter.
I guess it makes sense to see what you got in the young guy, something that the Cowboys are not doing with Trey Lance. So, yeah, I guess that's not a bad strategy. I mean,
lost season. You can only improve your draft stock if you lose it, but you might find out if the DTR has something.
And if you find out DTR doesn't have anything, it's not because they've won enough to where unless you just fall in love with somebody not named Shedeur Sanders, it doesn't look like a great quarterback class to where even at picking 7, people are going to go, somebody's going to jump up and take a second quarterback before it comes to you, I would assume. Even if they don't jump up, they just take one. So it's not like you can't go sign Jameis for another year and just give him a full off season, give him a full year at it. I would like to see that too. So
We'd all love to see it. We'd all love
yeah,
to see more Jameis in our lives. But on this one, I'm avoiding it. I mean, if there's anything I like here, it might be the over, which is
I've been
sickening with
taking
DTR. But like,
Cincinnati overs, and they've been solid. So
yeah, they've gone over 83% of their games at home this year. So
yeah, and I mean, when you're looking at this 46.5 points, I mean, well, the way that offense is playing, they could put up 42. So just get a couple field goals out of Cleveland will be good.
Yeah, and then Cincy has covered a shockingly low 17% of their home games this year. So I mean, it's just like I can't bet that.
This Cincinnati
on that type of spread, can't do it.
This Cincinnati team is going to be a thing of legend in 10 years. All right, now we got Arizona, Carolina at home, 4.5 point dogs. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't make Carolina favorites anymore. They embarrassed themselves in that Cowboys game. Cowboys, I mean, you would have thought they had all pros all over the field in that game against Arizona or against Carolina. Just awful performance by Carolina. I thought they would show up. Cowboys are going to get the last pick before playoff teams probably, because that's just how it goes. Arizona, they need to win this game. This is a must win. This is the season for Arizona. I like Arizona to cover here, -4.5 on the road. I think they get it done. They need to get Marvin Harrison Jr. going, and if they're not going to get him going, that's a problem. But James Conner looks fantastic right now. Defense is playing pretty well. Everything that we said about Arizona at the beginning of the season is kind of coming to fruition. We thought they would win some games. We thought they might be in the mix. Probably not a playoff
win team.
Probably not a playoff contender. But yeah, I mean, they exceeded expectations early and then kind of came back to the median. So I mean, that's one of our most perfect predictions that we've had. But yeah, I mean, they're still in it right now. They got to win this game. I think I'm going to take them here on the 4.5. Model X as well at 89% confidence.
Model's favorite bet of the week, tied with another one that we'll talk later. I'm taking it too. Arizona -4.5. Arizona has covered 67% of their road games this year versus Carolina only covering 43% of their home games. Model says stay the hell away from the total on this one, though, because you look at it, Arizona has been spotty on hitting the over. Carolina has consistently hit the over. So you got two ends of the spectrum there. Like it becomes unpredictable at that point.
Yep. And then we got another big game in the NFC. We got Philly going to Washington. Washington 3.5 point dogs at home. 45.5 point total here. Model has a slight lean to Washington. Not quite enough to bet it, it looks like, but
the model almost takes the cheese here.
Almost takes the cheese. I wouldn't take the cheese. If I had to bet this game, I would take Philadelphia. They're just a wagon right now. It looks like all things are clicking, and Philadelphia fans are so mad that they're. How mad are Philadelphia fans going to be if they win a Super Bowl with Nick Sirianni? They hate that guy.
They'll love him if he wins a Super Bowl.
I don't think so. I think they'll be so mad that Nick Sirianni won a Super Bowl that they won't even be happy that the Eagles won a Super Bowl.
You know, they did run Doug Peterson out of town like 2 years after winning one. So
yeah, yeah, they could be like a Jimmy Johnson deal where they fire a Super Bowl winning head coach after they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. In this game, I mean, I'm with you. I'd lean towards Philly. Model leans towards Washington. Also,
as long as Saquon stays healthy, I'll take Philly over just about anybody right now in the league if Saquon's healthy. If Saquon's not healthy, I don't trust that offense for shit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that he's a big part of what makes their offense work. And
Devonta Smith being healthy too helps out a lot.
It's huge. Like, they're just so talented across the board, but having that rushing threat really makes Jalen Hurts. It makes it all work. It makes everything come together pretty well. In this one, both these teams have covered really well. Philly actually has hit the under a lot, while Washington has hit the over a lot. But so that's some of the math behind it. Ultimately, staying away from it, lean towards Philly.
Yeah. Next up, we have the New York Giants going to Georgia to take on the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons 8.5-point favorites. However, lines are not available for this game because we have a
Yeah, they are.
change at quarterback.
This opened at 9.5, went to 10.5, and then after the change, it came down to 8.5.
I'm everywhere I'm seeing right now. There, it's not even available to bet. Oh, looks like still not available to bet. What I'm looking at.
It's on FanDuel at 8.5.
Okay, so 8.5. Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins out. Does that change this Atlanta offense at all?
Yeah. It changes for the better or worse. I don't know, but like it changes it a bit in a big way.
We got a top 10 pick coming in to replace Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins once walked into a situation where he took over for a top 10 pick, top 5 pick, top 2 pick. So Kirk Cousins knows the situation well, just on the other side of the spectrum. I thought the pick was stupid. Summer went on. I kind of started changing my mind. I agreed with the Penix pick. If I agreed with it under the assumption that you like Penix, not as necessarily a security blanket to Kirk Cousins, which is what it kind of felt like at the time when they picked it. But if you thought Penix was your guy, you go get your guy right there. It doesn't matter if you signed a quarterback. The more I thought about it, the more I agreed with it. And I'm excited to see what the young man can do. Not really a young man, but kind of a young man in today's game. College quarterbacks are getting older and older every year. Think that's going to be a trend that we see moving on here. We're going to see a lot of fourth and fifth year guys coming out of college, paying them quarterbacks pretty well in college these days. So stick around a little bit longer. Might be better for the development of the league too. We'll see.
Might
but
be.
I'm excited
guys
to
like
see what
Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix come in the league and be able to operate offenses at a pretty solid level, while the younger guys have struggled a little more.
struggled.
I mean, might mean a little bit better of rookie quarterbacks coming in, like as far as guys hitting the ground running.
Yep. But I'm excited to see what Michael Penix does here. The New York Giants are an absolute dumpster fire. I think they have the number 1 overall pick right now. I think they're just fine staying in that position. 8.5 is a big number. I mean, they got some talent on their team. They get paid to play football too. So I don't love it enough to take Atlanta here. Model likes the Giants though.
Model likes the Giants cover plus 8.5. Liked it. I mean, so I made my bets earlier today, and I just followed the model. I got this at Giants plus 10.5. So I took that. That's what it'll be on the graphic for me, but I wouldn't take it at 8.5. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, it's a new era there in Atlanta, it seems like. So excited to see what happens.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw out the stats. I don't know how relevant they are with Kirk Cousins. I think stuff just changes with this. But the Giants have gone over on the road 60% of the time. They've covered on the road 40% of the time. Atlanta's covered at home only 29% of the time, and only gone over at home 29% of the time.
Yep. All right, next up we have Tennessee, Indianapolis. Indianapolis not technically eliminated from the playoffs, but they are eliminated from the playoffs. They are 3.5-point favorites at home, 42.5-point total here. Tennessee is bad. Joe Burrow
Are they not eliminated from the playoffs?
Not technically. They're at 6 and 8. The 7 seed's sitting at 8 and 6. So technically the Chargers could lose out.
Tennessee is 6 and 8?
No,
right?
Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was very confused. I don't you might not have. It's just what I heard.
Tennessee's 3-11.
I was gonna say,
like,
what? How?
Yeah, no. So I mean, technically Indy could run the table, and Chargers could lose out, and they could get in at 9 and 8. But other than that, they're basically eliminated. Tennessee is not good. They got Devondre Sweat had an awesome scoop and run. It was fun to watch. They're making a change at quarterback as well. Is it Mason Rudolph?
That stiff arm from Tavondre Sweat on the offensive line where he just like smacks the guy right in the face and knocks him over. It's
Get out of
You
here.
gotta go see it on Twitter. Like it's on my Twitter account. Like I the second I saw it, watching the tape, I was like, this needs to be on Twitter. This stiff arm is like the thing of legends.
Yeah. No, yeah, Tennessee's they're not good. Making another change at quarterback, it looks like. Are they playing
Rudolph time, I think.
Mason Rudolph? Oh, gross. I'm not touching that game. Maybe Jonathan Taylor can hold on to the ball and finish a run, but I mean, Indianapolis should win this game, but they're so volatile at the quarterback position right now with Anthony Richardson, and Tennessee can muck it up and make it a close game, maybe, but I don't know.
So the underlying stats for these teams must be really conflicting because when I'm looking at the cover rates, Tennessee has only covered 29% of their road games. Indy has covered 67% of their home games. Tennessee has gone over in 86% of their road games. Indy's gone over in half of their home games. Like I would think the over in Tennessee, the model would like here, but the underlying stats, the deeper stats must be pretty conflicting for it to be not a pick on this. So the model has a lean towards the Colts and a lean towards the over.
Okay. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions, the most injured team in football, going against the Chicago Bears. Chicago 6.5-point dogs at home, 47.5-point total here. If you're a fantasy football guy, this is a game probably have some big implications for you. If you're this far in the playoffs, it's likely that you got some Lions on your team. It's likely that you might even have a Bear or two on your team. Should be a fun game. I really want to see the Chicago offense get going. I think we have a chance to see it against Detroit, but I've also been saying that for weeks now, and we just don't see it. Is this Thomas Brown guy? Is this experiment officially over? Like, he's not the guy, right?
He's not the guy. I don't think. Like, so basically, the way that I see it is, this wasn't about giving Thomas Brown a fair shot at this. It was about giving him a chance to surprise you.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, I didn't think he'd do that. Like, and it hasn't happened. So I think it's done. Like, he might have a good coaching career from here on out elsewhere, but I just don't think it's going to happen in Chicago.
Let him go coach the Chiefs and win the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. So Jahmyr Gibbs is on league winning season right now. If you got Jahmyr Gibbs, props to you, which is basically props to me because in both my playoff leagues I have him. So congratulations to me.
Congratulations, Jay.
Thank you. I like Detroit here, and even being so injured, that offense is so deadly. Offensive line is still healthy. Model leans the under here, which I could see. Chicago has enough weapons to where the under scares me a little bit, but I just don't know how Chicago keeps up with them after what Sam Darnold did to him last night. I like Detroit here to cover the 6.5. Stay away from the total.
Like dog shit, and they still put up 30 points. Like Sam Darnold did not look good last night, and they still put up.
And like, so as someone that was going against Darnold and Jefferson last night in fantasy, Aaron Jones could have ran for 200 yards last night. And why they would not just keep handing him the ball was infuriating, because it was like 6 yards a pop. Like every time Aaron Jones touched the ball, it was 6 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Campbell's crazy enough to give Jahmyr Gibbs 35 carries this game.
Yeah, I think you should. I mean, the Bears are down their top 2 defensive tackles, and they didn't have defensive tackle depth on this roster coming into the year.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that sometimes.
I like Detroit to cover here. This is, I don't know if the bets are, I don't know if you can bet like offensive line touchdown or if you have to take a specific person or if it's even available. But this is definitely like a a Taylor Decker touchdown game or a Panay Sewell touchdown game or a Frank Ragnow
Last time
touchdown
these two
game.
played, they tried to have Panay throw a pass. So
Yeah, you might see a Panay passing touchdown. This just seems like a very much like everybody on our team is injured. Like we're gonna have 2 offensive linemen score. We're gonna have Jameer Gibbs score. We're gonna have Jamison Williams score. We're gonna have Tim Patrick score. And ASB owner, sorry about you. Amon-Ra St. Brown's gonna end the game with like 2 targets and 11 yards. And people are gonna be furious about it.
So in this one, I too like Detroit. The model likes Detroit here, leans towards the under, as you mentioned. In this matchup, we're looking at Detroit has covered 83% of the road games. The Bears have covered 80% of their home games, though. They have been feisty at home. Their last 3 games have all been on the road. I'm not sure how I want to weigh that. I'm obviously biased here. So like my opinion, I like throughout the week is going to shift from there's no way they cover to by the time we're at Sunday, I'm going to be like, they can cover. Like,
Only a touchdown.
Yeah. But on the total, Lions on the road have only gone over 33% of the time. Bears at home have gone over 50% of the time. So,
I think the Bears are live here if you like big money big money line underdogs. I mean, the way Caleb's playing right now, I mean, he was putting the ball where it needed to be. A lot of drops last night. These guys are professionals.
if they can score some first half points, they might have a chance.
Yeah. I think Chicago are live dogs here, but I think Detroit covers.
Yeah. And for reference, the Bears don't score first half points. It's just the rule of football. It's not allowed.
Yeah.
But that's all I have to say about that. I'm talked out about the Bears, man. I'm burnt.
All right, next up we have Rams, Jets. Jets 3-point dogs at home. 46.5 point total here. I like the Rams here. The way they're playing football right now, Matt Stafford looks really, really good. I mean, they're every single game from here on out's a must win for them. But the Jets came out last week, and I mean, Devontae Adams looked like he was rejuvenated. Aaron Rodgers looked good. Breece Hall even had some nice shining moments. And if you're a Jets fan, you got to be sitting there like, what the fuck is this? And yeah, I mean, it's got to be tough if you're a Jets fan.
Aaron Rodgers' last 7 games, he has 13 touchdowns and 1 interception.
Yeah.
That's something. I mean, I don't know. The model has a lean towards the Jets. I was trying to make something out of it that I don't really believe. The model likes the Jets here enough to have a lean on them. It also leans towards the under. On the year, the Rams have covered 57% of their road games. Jets have covered 33% of their home games. On the over, Rams 43% on the road, Jets 50% at home. So not a lot to really tell you to play with there. I think that kind of reflects through the model here. Truly, if I'm betting this game, I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah,
they're the team who has something.
I would
something
lean
at
the Rams
stake
here.
They're traveling all the way across the country, which isn't easy, especially. I think going. What do you think's harder, going East Coast to West Coast or West Coast to East Coast?
Depends on the time of the game. This is a 12 o'clock game. I'm assuming probably harder to go east to west.
Let's see.
If it's a 3 o'clock game, I don't think it matters. I think it's easier to go west to east if it's a 3 o'clock game.
Yeah, it's a noon game.
Yeah, so that's what 7 or.
So yeah, the Jets will be playing at like 9 a.m. Their natural clock.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, the Rams, not the Jets, the Rams.
Yeah, so that would be the only I would say it's probably harder to go west to east if you're playing in that time slot. If you're playing at the 3:25 time slot, I don't think it matters as much. But yeah, I would probably lean Rams here. Just they have to have it. They've got to win. And I don't know why the Jets just don't bench Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you're either bringing him back next year or you're not. I don't think anything you see for the rest of the season will dictate much of that. And what's the point? He's what, 42?
Something like that. You think it's Tyrod Taylor time?
Well, I mean, if you want to bring Aaron Rodgers back next year, you've seen enough to make that decision. So why risk it? For one, we're late in the season. An injury right now could easily leak into next year.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to bring him back, then who cares about his fucking feelings at that point? Bench him, go lose some games. Like,
You know what I think it is?
there's no argument to play him.
You know what I think it is?
Huh.
Hoping someone will talk themselves into trading for him.
I don't think he's under contract though, is he?
I thought it was maybe he might not be.
I thought it was a 2-year deal.
Yeah, no, you're right. I was thinking it was a 2-year deal starting this year, but I think you're right. I think it was starting last year. It's a 3-year contract. Let's see if it's a void year, though. Yeah, 1 more year on his contract. They can move on from him, or they can't move on from him very easily. So they're hoping. I think they're trying to either build trade value, or
But I would think that whatever value he has been proven these last 5 weeks. I mean, I don't think there's really much left to show. I mean, if you're a team wanting to trade for him, I think you've seen enough to where, like, okay, next year he'll be healthy, he'll be good to go. And if you're the Jets and you want to bring him back next year and have him play for you, I think you've seen enough. Like, I just don't see a scenario.
He lights up the Rams. Matt Stafford goes down early next year or in training camp, and Sean McVay goes, I can work with what Aaron Rodgers was doing.
Yeah, but you don't think he would have that thought if Stafford goes down anyway?
Maybe. But, I mean, my other thought here is I think Aaron Rodgers had a lot of work to do in that locker room to regain respect after skipping camp.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of elitism going on there, and I think that him playing these games does matter to his teammates.
Well, maybe, but if it's not his decision, I mean, he can still get away with. I mean, if he still shows up and if they bench him and then he like goes away and just like isn't around the team, but they can bench him and he can still be there with the team and everything. And like, I think everybody on the team could be like, okay, we have a 43-year-old quarterback that we're playing for nothing that is playing well.
Who there is saying that? Who there is making that decision though? Because everyone's fired. Joe Douglas is already gone.
The owner, the guy who made all this happen in the first place.
You think Jeff Ulbrich wants to listen to the owner? What does he have to? What does he have to gain from doing that?
I don't know. It just doesn't seem to make much sense to me.
I mean, if I'm Jeff Ulbrich and I'm interim head coach, I'm trying to show something.
Yeah.
The owner tells me to bench him. I say, screw you.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Fire me? Like,
good.
You're already down a coach here. You want me down 2 coaches? Like,
well, I mean, what does it matter at that point with 3 games left? So I mean, but yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. But I'm taking the Rams on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Next up, we have Minnesota, Seattle. I don't think Minnesota's good, but I think they might be the best coach team in the league, and Darnold is solid enough, and they're going to have a decision to make with JJ McCarthy coming back next year. I think
they'll let Sammy D walk to the New York Giants, so he'll go play in MetLife regularly again. He'll just stink. Get Sammy D back in New Jersey. And
if you're Minnesota and it's like we can clearly win with this guy, do you take the risk on second year JJ McCarthy or just figure out a way to keep Darnold in the building, and then if he keeps playing well, then you trade him?
I think you take the risk with JJ, but I could see the argument for either side. I think you have to tag him and figure it out from there. Like, I don't think you can just let him walk. You need to try to trade him for some value. It's just a question of, it's kind of a weird spot in the quarterback market right now. Of like, teams are skeptical of trading for him. I feel like teams are going to be skeptical of that. So how much are they actually giving for him?
That, and a lot of teams that probably need quarterbacks maybe think they might have somebody, and it's like, it's a weird quarterback market right now for sure. A lot of young guys that people are undecided on, and in that aspect, it's like you're not gonna use assets to go get somebody else that's just as big of a question mark as the guy you already have on roster.
Yeah, it's
So,
it's an interesting spot. I'm curious to see
but
where this goes.
I think I might just be done fading Minnesota. Not that I've really been fading them anyway.
I stopped after like week 8. I was like, okay, I can't keep
Yeah.
losing money betting against
Like
them.
I haven't really been betting against them, but I've been like every week I'm like, I just don't think they do it again. But
Honestly,
I'm not gonna bet it because I don't know. And every week I'm like last night, I'm like, I had like four people text me like, what do you like tonight? And I'm like, I should like the Bears, but the Bears could lose by 20 just as easily as they could win the game, and then they go out there and lose by 20. But they're so hard to predict. But I mean, so much talent. Aaron Jones looks incredible. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison is probably the best 1-2 in the league right now. I mean, I think you could easily say that T. Higgins isn't having a great season, and I think that would be the closest second. Maybe
or
Devonta Smith,
Devonta
AJ
Smith,
Brown.
he's been hurt, so like,
Yeah, but yeah, they got a lot of talent there. Defense is playing out of their minds. I mean, Brian Flores got them boys right, so I gotta lean Minnesota here. I think the Geno experience in Seattle might be about over. I don't know what direction they go, but I mean, I think we've maxed out on what Geno is, and maybe you keep Geno. I don't know. He's not a bad quarterback, but he is a top 12 to 18 quarterback in the league, and that might be worse than having a bad quarterback.
you know what I think he is? I think he's older Baker with injury issues.
Yeah,
Like, I think that he
without
is like
the dog in him, though.
I think Geno's got some dog in him. I really
Do
do.
you?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think he can stay healthy. So like,
Yeah.
it eats away at that dog. You know, a hurt dog isn't the same as like a young pup that's just like going at it. But
yeah,
one thing that I did today that I like, obviously I like it. I did it. I went and put a few bucks on the Eagles to win the NFC. A few bucks, or I put like a few more bucks on the Eagles than everyone else. But then I put a few on the Vikings just because I think the odds, it was like plus 600, I think, which was fine. Put a few on the Packers because I just think I need to prepare myself because it feels like this could be that kind of year.
Oh, please no.
And then I put a few on the Bucks, which was like plus 1,500 or something. So like I really like that layer, the way you can layer the NFC champions right now. And I think the Vikings need to be in there, as do the Packers and the Bucks.
Yeah, no, Vikings for sure. I mean, they can beat anybody, especially if they get some home games. I mean, they're still alive for this division and the number 1 seed right now. So I mean, we're talking like the Vikings are going to have to go on the road in the playoffs. I mean, with the injuries in Detroit, I mean, the Vikings could very easily grab the 2 seed or even the 1 seed. So
yeah, I like them, and I like them here at minus 3.5. I'm staying. Miles says stay away from the total, so I'm staying away from the total. By Model and me both like Minnesota minus 3.5 in Seattle. Minnesota has covered 60% of their road games, gone over in 50% of those road games. Seattle's only covered 25% of their home games. The 12th man ain't covering this year. It ain't going over either because they're only at 38% at home. So use that as you will.
All right. Next up, we have the New England Patriots taking on the Buffalo Bills. I want to say Buffalo's the hottest team in the league right now, but just a week ago they lost to the Rams. So are the Rams the hottest team in the league? I don't know. Buffalo's 14.5-point favorites at home, 46.5-point total here. Buffalo seems, when you watch them, you're like, they're so good, they can't lose. But then they lose games sometimes. I don't know what to think about Buffalo. I think Josh Allen is clearly the MVP this year. Well, maybe not clearly. I think Lamar's having a great season too, but I think it's one of those things. Lamar won last year. We've seen it historically with guys that Lamar's having his best season. He's already won 2 MVPs, but they still give it to Josh Allen. I don't know, but something about this Bills team, I like Bills to win this game, obviously. 14.5. Take it if you want. I don't think they have any struggle. I'm just so conflicted on what I think about this Bills team going forward.
So I had a vision earlier today about this. I was listening to a podcast and it was talking about Kansas City's offensive tackle struggles. And it just popped in my head that, 2 years ago, the Buffalo Bills signed Von Miller to beat Patrick Mahomes. They did it once in the regular season. Von Miller gets hurt, isn't there for the playoffs. Von Miller comes back, doesn't look the same, but he's looked a little bit better this year, I believe. And I had this vision in my head of Von Miller shootout in the AFC Championship. Von Miller gets a big sack on Pat Mahomes to ice the game.
I could see this is. I hope Bills fans aren't listening to this because this is what's going to happen. And if you're a Bills fan, you know this is what's going to happen. You're gonna get the monkey off your back this year. You're gonna beat Patrick Mahomes. You're gonna go to the Super Bowl, and you're gonna lose to
Sammy D,
Washington or Sam Darnold. Somehow, some way, the Packers are gonna be out of it. The Eagles are gonna be out of it. The Lions
are gonna be the fifth fall of Buffalo this year.
Yeah. All these teams that everybody's talking about in the NFC, everybody, for half the season, it was okay, we have the Bills, we have the Ravens, we have the Chiefs. All 3 of those are Super Bowl contenders. And on the other side, it's maybe the Lions. And then it was okay, surely the Lions. And now it's okay, the Eagles are in it. And then oh shit, the Packers are surging. Oh, and then you're looking at this.
Packers only surged during Toyotathon.
Yeah, and it is Toyotathon. So Bills are gonna make it to the Super Bowl, and they're gonna get the Buccaneers or the Rams or the Vikings, and they're gonna.
What they're gonna get? They're gonna get the Falcons after Mike Penix goes down. Kirk Cousins enters the game, Nick Foles fashion, just takes it.
I mean, if you're a Bills fan, I think the Bills beat the Lions or the Eagles. I think they're going to grab one of these teams in the NFC.
I think the NFC is going to be a weird team this year. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I've said it since the preseason. The preseason, I think I said Falcons just because I was I don't actually like the Falcons, but it's going to be someone that no one sees coming.
Buccaneers. I might be fully on the Buccaneers.
I like it.
I might be fully on it. But as far as this game goes, I don't think it matters. I think Buffalo wins. If they want to win by more than 14.5, they will. We're getting late in the season, games all over the place. We got Christmas, we got New Year's, games at weird times, weird spots, weird places. If they want to win this game if they want to cover, they will. If they don't want to cover, they won't. That's basically all I got to say about that. Yeah. Drake May is good.
Model likes the Bills to cover on a lean, just a lean and a lean towards the over. Bills have covered 67% of their home games, gone over in 83% of those games. Patriots have only covered 43% of their road games and only gone over in 43% of those games. I'm not betting it. Model's not betting it. It's just a lean.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have San Francisco. Is that San Francisco?
That is. Yes, sir.
Going to Miami. Dolphins technically aren't dead yet, I guess. Miami's 1.5 point favorites at home. 45.5 point total here. I guess neither one of these teams are technically dead yet, but they're both dead. But whoever wins this game is going to think there's a shot. So that should be fun. We have Mike McDaniel versus
His protege, Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan. That should be fun. But
His boys are back at it.
Yeah. Outside of that, I mean, this seems like a game that should have bigger implications, and it kind of just falls flat on its face. I mean, I know Isaac Guerrero owners are going to be excited for this game. Devon Achane, Tua Tagovailoa. Some big fantasy implications from this game if you drafted some of these guys early and somehow survived the season. If you took CMC and ended up with Guerrero, or if you took Achane, or if you took Tyreek Hill, you're most likely not in the playoffs because he was like a top 4 pick. So, but I don't know. Weird things happen. So I lean Miami here after having a bad week, but I don't know.
So the model leans towards San Fran and the under here.
San Fran's being super petty with Devontae Campbell, which I understand, but they're trying to get him suspended so they can.
I thought they did suspend him.
Well, they're trying to get a league suspension because if they suspend him, they have to pay him. If they can convince the leagues to suspend him, they don't have to pay him, and they don't have to cut him, and he can't sign with another team. And they're like, we don't want to cut him so he can just get rewarded by going to sign with another team. But if we suspend him internally, we have to pay him. So they're like going through hoops to get him suspended for like through the league for like conduct detrimental to the team. And I'm like, that's a whole lot of work for 3 weeks left in the season.
Yeah.
Just we're all professionals here. I mean,
well,
yeah, what he did, you don't like, the teammates don't like, a lot of people don't like, but there's 3 weeks left in the season and you're having a dog shit year. You're making a big deal out of this whenever like you couldn't beat the Cardinals a couple of weeks ago. It's like seems like you should have bigger priorities if you're the San Francisco 49ers, but hey, here we are. And I don't really know what to say about this game. I'd probably lean Miami though. I think Miami has a better shot to make the playoffs with the win than San Fran does. But a loss here for either team knocks them completely out. So
I'm with the model. I lean San Fran, and this is largely because of Devondre Campbell. If you watch the players after the game, they were pretty united against Devondre Campbell. I'm pretty pissed about it, and it was like I think they're going to be they are going to come together somewhat over that. I think they're going to look good in this game. I'm not betting it. I don't believe in it that much, but if I had to bet aside, I'm betting San Fran because I saw anger in those players' eyes over it. And I think that there's a passion that comes out from that. So on the numbers, San Fran has covered 17% of their road games. Miami's only covered 29% of their home games. So rough look there on both sides. San Fran's gone over in half of their road games, while Miami's gone over in 71% of their home games. So something to consider. The model does lean towards the under, but I mean that those numbers do seem like the over makes some sense to me.
Yeah. Next up, we have Jacksonville versus the Raiders. Raiders are
game of the week.
Raiders are 1.5 point favorites here, which I don't understand. 39.5 point total here. Mac Jones might be a dog. And if he's not a dog, he thinks he's a dog. He thinks he's a big dog. He's out there barking. Two fan bases that are probably sitting there week 16, both kind of wanting to lose, probably. Absolutely wanting to lose if you're a fan. And this might just be an all-time thriller of a game. It could just be chaos everywhere. We could see Amir Abdullah going off for Amir Abdullah in 2024, going off for 175 yards. Mac Jones throwing for 300. Aiden O'Connell, I don't even know who's slinging the rock there in Las Vegas, throwing for 300 yards. No Max Crosby, it doesn't matter. Tyree Wilson going out and getting like 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. We could just see absolute chaos in this game, and I'm here for it. I'm not betting it. I'll probably take Jacksonville because I think Mac Jones got a little bit of swagger right now, honestly.
Dude, he was. I picked up the Jets defense last week
Brian
in playoffs,
Robinson,
and I was
Brian
like,
Robinson looks incredible.
Brian Thomas
What did I say?
Robinson.
Oh,
He looks
both.
good too. But
Brian Robinson looks good, but Brian Thomas is an absolute dog.
I picked up the Jets defense last week in fantasy playoffs. And I was like, what the hell is Mac Jones doing? This is not what Mac Jones is supposed to be doing. This is just not this is not what I signed up for here.
I mean, he got to the Patriots and it got ingrained in him that like we beat the Jets, so it just stuck with him.
I guess so. In this one, the model, it's a lean towards the Jaguars, a lean towards the over. Jaguars have covered 67% of their home games and gone over in half of those. Raiders have covered 40% of their home games and gone over in 67% of those. The over might actually be a little juicy here, but especially at 39.5, like I feel like that's just asking you to bet the over. But I'm not touching it. I'm not in sicko mode this week. I can't.
I just changed my mind on one of the college picks for no reason other than I looked down at my sheet and said I can't do that. So we'll get to that in a minute. All right, next up we have Tampa versus Dallas. Dallas at home, 3.5-point dogs, 48.5-point total here. Yeah, this is Tampa all the way. I've been so wrong on the Cowboys every single week with Dak, without Dak. I can't get a read on this team. Rico Dowdle's a fucking all-pro apparently. Where has that been? Was it just the Carolina Panthers? I don't know. 140
in the Panthers.
149 yards from Dowdle, which is kind of what I said earlier in the season. I'm like, just give the kid reps. I think he's talented, and I'm not too worried about the Cowboys because I think, draft aside, I think just get healthy and they're a 10-11 win team next year. So I'm not freaking out about it from that aspect. I mean, I think all the pieces are already there. You just got to get healthy. I mean, we were missing 6 starters before the season even starts, and then more and more people keep going down. So from that aspect, I just want the season to be over and move on and go. But we're on record watch for Mike Evans, 251 yards in the last 3 games. Hope he gets about 175 of those this week. And I like Baker. I've always liked Baker. I mean, even when he left Tech, I still kind of like Baker a little bit, just a little bit. I was screaming "fuck you, Baker" at the Tech OU game that ended in 168-point total. But in this game, I think Baker goes out there and gets it done. Mike Evans looks unstoppable right now, and Bucky Irving looks like a premier back in the NFL. Baker's playing really good football. Their defense playing well right now. I know it was the Chargers, but a lot of things to like about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, and they're a scary, dangerous team, and they have to win now. They can't afford to lose the game. I don't see Cooper Rush being able to win this game. So give me Tampa here. Model loves this game as well.
Yeah, Model likes Tampa -3.5. I like Tampa -3.5. Tampa's covered 71% of their road games. Dallas has only covered 14% of their home games. Both these teams are a 71% over rate.
Dallas has been terrible at
home road. So the over makes sense to me here too, but I'm only taking Tampa. Baker's on a heater. I am a little worried about back-to-back road games, but I just don't think Dallas has much in them. I think they just beat a really rough Carolina team. I don't think that's reason to be too worried about Tampa here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like Tampa in this game, and I think Mike Evans clears the 1,000 yards this year. So
this week?
Like I said.
This week?
No, this year. Maybe this week. Go for 400 against that Dallas team. Who knows? Last but not least, but definitely least, we have the New Orleans Saints going to Green Bay. Take on the Packers, 13.5-point favorites for Green Bay. 42.5-point total here. Yeah, it's one of those things where Green Bay is going to get in. They're going to do some voodoo shit. They're going to – if Green Bay beats the Bills, that might be – Green Bay beating Kansas City would probably be a little bit worse for me, but Patrick Mahomes has so many Super Bowls I could – but I don't know. I would hate that. But Green Bay beating the Bills, Josh Allen or – the Ravens with Lamar. We love Lamar. We've been Lamar's number one fan since he was coming out of college. Be brutal. And I just want Green Bay to die.
Yeah. I want Toyotathon to end. That's all I'm asking. End Toyotathon early.
Yeah. Toyota, I mean, who drives Toyota anyway? Tacomas aren't cool. If you're a Tacoma driver, it's not cool. I don't know why you think Tacomas are cool. People only drive Tacomas because they think they're cool. They're not.
Green Bay Packer fans who drive Tacomas want nothing to do with them.
On my shit list.
On this game, model says just stay away in every way possible, like big red letters. Just
I want to see Spencer Rattler in a full game. He's fun. Spencer Rattler's fun.
Spencer Rattler is fun. He almost won a Heisman once.
Great name.
Great, outstanding name.
Outstanding name. Heisman favorite. Him and Carson Wentz. No, I was gonna say him and Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz can tell him all about the time he was basically MVP, and Spencer Rattler can tell him all about the time he was basically the Heisman winner.
Yeah, sounds like a party.
Shout out DJU declaring for the NFL draft.
You go DJU.
While we're at it, I'm also declaring for the NFL draft.
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh, this is news.
Let's see who gets picked first, me or DJ Ugalele.
I think DJ might go. Like, hey, Sean Clifford went in the 5th round.
Yes, he did.
If Sean Clifford could go in the 5th round, DJ could go in the 4th.
Christian Hackenberg went in the 2nd round.
Yep, off traits alone. DJU's got traits.
Tim Boyle has a job in the NFL, starting at quarterback, and he threw like 4 touchdowns to 16 interceptions playing at UConn.
I think DJU can get drafted.
DJU's basically a first-round quarterback if you compare him to Tim Boyle, who's currently starting in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't have to sell me.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of college, let's get into this college football playoff. Okay. First time ever, 12-team playoff. I'm not going to talk ball games because I don't keep up enough with who's playing, who's not playing. It's
bowl games are irrelevant at this point. No one plays in them who you need to see. Like, it's, so it's at a point of just like irrelevancy.
Yeah. So we got 4 playoff games this weekend. We have Indiana, Notre Dame, SMU, Penn State, Clemson at Texas, Tennessee at Ohio State. I was all about Indiana. I thought they could keep it close. We talked about it before the podcast started. I completely changed my mind. I'm taking Notre Dame in this game. I'm taking them minus the 7. I like them at home. Crazy matchup. Indiana, Notre Dame is written in the stars almost.
So,
but
someone mentioned this to me the other day. There's going to be a lot of conflicted people in the state of Indiana because most of them are probably IU basketball fans, but Notre Dame football fans.
I told you this last week on the podcast.
Oh, it was you who told me. Okay. I've been live like 5 times since then. I didn't remember if it was you or someone else. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of the same people cheering for the same team here. Yeah, I also brought up the fact that Bill Belichick coaching North Carolina is going to have Duke fans or Northeastern Duke fans that are Patriot fans, like all messed up in the head. But yeah, I like Kirk Cignetti. I really want to take Indiana here. I like their offense. I like what they're doing. Notre Dame has looked completely different after that loss to Northern Iowa or Northern Illinois.
Put some respect on the Huskies' name.
I couldn't even win in like 4 MAC games, but beat Notre Dame. Now I want to take Indiana again. No, I'm taking Notre Dame. Laying the 7.
Yeah, I took Notre Dame on the money line. I'd take them laying the 7. I mean, I did a parlay where I Notre Dame was the first leg, but if I'm doing it against spread, like I'd take laying the 7 too. I don't think Indiana can hang.
All right, next up we have SMU versus Penn State. Everybody's talking Penn State's got the easiest route. All they have to do is beat SMU, Boise. They're in the Final Four. I don't think people have watched SMU this year. That offense is so damn good. Penn State, their offense looked good against Oregon. Drew Aller just announced that he is staying for another year at Penn State. But 8.5 point spread. I think this SMU team is absolutely live. Going to Happy Valley, going to State College changes things a little bit, but it is a noon game, and everybody in Pennsylvania is pissed off about it being a noon game. We can't do wideouts at noon game. Everybody bitches about big noon kickoff in the state of Pennsylvania for some reason. Noon kickoff is, if you're good, is perfect. Noon kickoff for if your team sucks, it sucks. Noon kickoff if you're a good team is awesome. Stop complaining, Northeast. Terrible.
Even 11 a.m. like the rest of the country, or like the Central, or even earlier on the other end of the country.
I'm so tired of hearing about Penn State fans complaining about noon kickoffs.
They boycotted the. I was at Penn State, Ohio State, and the kids were all boycotting the
big
Fox,
noon kickoff.
The Fox like pregame.
Yeah, because I think Fox fucks them. I'm like, Ohio State has been playing at noon for years, and they've been a top 5 program for the past 20 years. Like that's what you do. I mean, yeah, sorry, nobody wants to play a night game in Pennsylvania when it's 7 degrees outside. The SEC gets night games because it's still 80 degrees at night in the South.
Make a valid point. I mean, in this game, I think I like
SMU.
I think I like SMU to cover. I'm with you there, but I like Penn State to win.
I think Penn State wins, but SMU is absolutely live. That offense, I think, can. I think that Clemson defense is really fucking good. And what SMU did to that defense in that second half of that ACC championship game was incredible. And I think SMU, if they can get their offense going, it's going to be colder than what they're used to in Dallas, Texas. But I don't think it should be too bad. I really, really, really like SMU plus 8.5 in that spot.
One thing that gives me pause is that as the season has worn on, I think Abdul Carter might be the best defensive football player in the country.
Very well might be.
And that could be can flip the table. Like if he just starts taking over a game. But like I was at the Ohio State game and I was just watching him every defensive snap. It was like this dude is unreal.
Yeah. Yeah, we both like SMU in that spot. So next up we have Tennessee, Ohio State. I think Ohio State's still the best team in college football. I like them to win the national championship. I don't trust them one bit. If you could give Ohio State, I don't know if it's a coaching issue, if it's a culture issue. I don't know what it is. I definitely know if I'm Ohio State, I wouldn't have trotted out Will Howard this year, but that's a whole nother story. But in this game, Tennessee has so much talent. If Nico shows up to play, I love Tennessee to cover this 7. This is the game,
thinking, like against good quarterback. Like they lost to Oregon. I don't know if you call Oregon's quarterback good, but
Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's done well this year. And then
he's a veteran.
And then against Dylan Raiola, they only won by 4. Like Raiola didn't have a good game. It was a low scoring game.
Drew Aller played well against them.
They're against good quarterbacks, like if Nico shows up, it's feisty.
Yeah. If we see the best version of Nico, Tennessee can absolutely win this game. But I'm taking Tennessee +7 here. I think that's too many points. I also think Tennessee's defense is really good. And there's nothing like I think Tennessee plays a physical style of football, sort of like Michigan, to where Ohio State can be bullied. They shouldn't be bullied. They have the most NFL talent in the college football right now, probably. There's no way they should be getting bullied. They got bullied by a very bad Michigan team. I think Tennessee's defensive line can bully them as well. And I've been talking about him for a while now. This Tennessee running back, Dylan Sampson, if he gets going in this game, Ohio State cannot stop the run if you establish it early. I love Dylan Sampson in this game, so I'm super excited to see what Tennessee does here. But I'm taking them +7. And
taking Tennessee against the spread and on the money line.
If you can find some Dylan Sampson props, I think it could be like a Donovan Edwards situation. What we saw him do against Ohio State a couple years ago. So
and shout out to months ago, Jay. Before the season started, Tennessee national champions, future bet.
Yeah,
that thing was like plus what, like 12,000 or something, or like
12-1.
Yeah, like just
I
awesome.
cashed it out.
I might have to look into cashing it out, see where it's sitting at now.
Yeah. But no, I love the running game from Tennessee, and I like their defense. So I think they have what it takes to go on the road to beat a team like Ohio State. Then last but not least, Clemson versus Texas. I don't trust this Texas team at all. And 12 points, I mean, I feel like that's disrespectful for a Dabo Swinney-led Clemson team. I know they got kind of buried by Georgia. They lost to Georgia Tech. They almost gave up a big lead to SMU. But there's a lot of talent on that Clemson team. A lot of talent. That defense is very, very good. And Dabo Swinney is the most experienced coach in big games in these playoffs, probably. You could probably argue the Georgia head coach as well. But, I mean, it's them two versus everybody else as far as these big games, these playoff games go. And 12 points is a lot of points. I think we're going to see Arch early in this game for Texas.
Ooh,
if we don't,
that's spicy.
If we don't, I don't know if Quinn can get it done. He has not looked like himself these last 5 weeks of the season. I feel like they would have beat A&M by about 40 had it not been for Quinn. I think they lost to Georgia because of Quinn. Quinn is now flirting with the idea of coming back. It looks like a Big Ten school is going to come in and pay him a bag to come back. If it's Ohio State, that'll be the funniest thing ever. If Ohio State pays him $1 million to leave high school early to go sit on their bench and then turns around and pays him $5 million after he takes a Texas Longhorns team to the playoffs only to be replaced by a Manning for Ohio State to bring him back, that'll be rich. But we'll see what happens there. But yeah, 12 points is way too many points for a team like Clemson. And I think Texas wins this game. They should win this game. But, I mean, would you be shocked if Clemson wins this game? I wouldn't. I
mean, I'm biased. I see, because I wasn't super into college football yet for the Vince Young Texas team. Like that was one of my first college football experiences.
Yeah.
But being a Big 12 graduate in the era after Mac Jones there, or
Vince
after
Young?
Colt McCoy, like Colt McCoy was like my freshman year of college, I think. So I just see Texas as they're gonna drop the bag. That is my perception of Texas. So it's I'm biased about it. I have a hard time taking that out of the equation. I think they'll win this game. I think Clemson can cover. I bet Texas money line in my parlay. That's as far as I'm going on this one. I'm excited to watch it though.
If Texas wins this game, I definitely think ASU can beat Texas. I don't think ASU can beat Clemson. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what that line is if Clemson wins this game and has to go to Arizona next week to take on that ASU team. But yeah, I'm taking Clemson with the points there at +12.
All right, I like it. And we'll keep talking it next week as we get through this first round.
Yeah, I'm excited. Big weekend of football. So
yes, sir. All right. Well, does that any final thoughts, Jay, for the weekend, or we good to wrap this thing?
We good to wrap this thing, man. Adios. Don't sleep on them Cardinals. They might make the playoffs. Very stinky.
That's how we've won all year, team, right? Yes, hey, you held them to 20 points, man. Yes, you gave us a chance at the end. I got 3 words for you. You like that? Yeah!